Happy Miracle Monday. This is Dawn Petalino. I'm your transformational coach and best-selling author of Peace, Power, and Miracles. And Miracle Monday is just where I remind you of certain truths so you can become a greater expression of love and peace in this world, but also so you always feel filled up with that joy, with that love, with that peace yourself. And that really ties into what today's Miracle Monday is about, especially for you givers and you highly sensitive people or HSPs out there. Today's lesson is about being selfish. And if you tend to be a giver, if you tend to be somebody who definitely has the gift of compassion, and I know a lot of my clients that I coach are healers, and they might not even know they're healers, but they definitely have this tendency to, in whatever area they're doing, they have a high level of compassion. And so if you're sensitive to that, it is, your nature, maybe a little bit more so than others, to be compassionate. You tend to, especially if you're highly sensitive, you feel what other people feel. And so when you feel what other people feel, sometimes you want to rescue them from that feeling. You don't want them to feel disappointment, or you don't want them to feel that hurt, or whatever it is. And as feelers, we try to, kind of uplift others and make them feel better. However, because it's so much in our nature to do so, and if you're a giver, it's easier to give. And so when we do that, a lot of times we might be saying yes to things more out of a sense of duty or obligation, or a sense of, good people do that. And so we have this idea that if I'm a nice person, then I would say yes. What kind of selfish person would say no to this? And you have to understand this, because we cannot serve anyone until we know ourselves. So the most important thing we have to do before we ever take on a request is to sit with it. And to sit and pray about it and meditate with it means to sit with that idea in your body, to align yourself, to get to a place of peace inside. For me, that's the meditation. And honestly, I don't know any other way. The meditation is the language of reception. I often heard that prayer is where we ask, but meditation is where we receive. And really what we would do is we quiet our mind. We just get peaceful in here, whatever you need to do to get peaceful in here. And then we ask, is this something for my highest good? Should I do this? And I often will try on the idea, and I'll try on, what does it feel like to do, that particular thing? I recently got invited to do a talk at an event, which normally I would feel, there'd be a part of me that would feel like, oh, I should take this opportunity, I should do this. But the truth was, there's been so much on my plate lately that it didn't really feel like an opportunity. It felt like another thing on my plate. Now, part of me wanted to say yes, because I thought, oh, it could be exciting, and plus I knew this person, was hoping I would do this. So, didn't want to disappoint somebody. But I had to sit with it. I had to align with my higher self first, and then ask, what would you have me do? And I would try on the decision. I would say, okay, you know what? I am doing this, I am doing this, I am doing this. And just observe what happens in your body when you try on a decision. If it starts to kind of constrict, or if it feels weighted, or if it feels heavy in any way, that's, your body's telling you right there that this is not something for your highest good. Or does it feel lighter? Does it bring some relief? Does it feel a little bit like you have a little bit of breathing room, a little bit more expansive? Does it even bring joy or peace? Then that's your body telling you, yes, this is true for me. And so what we have to do, though, is you must align first before you accept, before you receive. That's why we have to know ourselves before we can serve. And Course in Miracles says, and I reference a lot of Course in Miracles in A Course of Love, and the Course in Miracles says that the Holy Spirit will never demand sacrifice. So if it feels like an obligation, if it feels like a sacrifice, that is probably coming from our own sense of fear. Fear of disappointing somebody, fear of letting somebody down, fear of missing out on something, right? But when we check in, it shouldn't feel like an obligation. Whenever we are meant to serve someone, it won't feel like we're forcing ourselves to do it. It will feel like an inspiration. There'll be some movement behind it. There'll be a drive for us to want to do it. You know, anytime I've ever given a talk, it's usually I have felt this inspired by a subject, and then with this inspiration came these different outlets to speak about it. So follow that. But you really must check in with yourself, and you're probably going to feel a little guilty and uncomfortable saying no first. But remember, when you say no to something, you're really saying yes to something else. So if you're in your alignment and it doesn't feel good, if it feels more like an obligation, you have to remember that you feeling good, you feeling at peace is the most important thing you can do to help anybody. Because otherwise, we're not bringing in the best vibration. We're not bringing in the love into a situation. We're bringing in whatever else is going on. So the best thing we can do is really honor and care about how we feel. And so if we say no to something else, what we're really saying is we're saying yes to ourselves, yes to our own value, yes to our worth, yes to our deserving of peace and comfort and love. So that is your Miracle Monday tool and tip today, and I hope you take that out with you today. And when you come across something that, you know, if somebody needs you to do something or asks you to do something, and if you're kind of torn with it and you're just feeling like, I don't really want to do this, a little key here is if you start to feel resentful, that's not you coming from your higher self. That's you coming from guilt. But remember, the Holy Spirit will never demand sacrifice. Get alignment first and then check what the answer is. That is your job. And that is the best thing you can do for anybody. Happy Miracle Monday. I hope you have a fabulous week. You can check out my website at www.dawnpetalino.com. You can find resources there, sign up for the newsletter, get the guided meditations, blogs, books. Check it out. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope you honor yourself today by honoring how you feel today. Happy Miracle Monday. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.